Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2003 horror remake, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The film is produced by Michael Bay, directed by Michael Snithbell, and it stars Jessica Biel, Jonathan Tucker, Eric Eliashon, Mike Vogel, Eric Balfour, Ali Ernie, and we also have Scott Martin Gershin as Leatherface. Right, okay, so this is the big, glossy, big budgeted remake of the all-time classic from the 70s, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You could probably make a case for this is one of the films that inspired like the massive craze in the noughties to kind of remake horror films from the past. You could argue that trend is still going on today. And the film focuses on a group of friends who are heading back from Mexico. The film is set in the 70s. They are heading back and they pick up a hitchhiker. This hitchhiker is incredibly distressed, and when she realizes that they are actually taking her back in the direction she doesn't want to go, back to the horrors that she's just come from, she takes her own life in the back of the van by putting a gun in her mouth, pulling the trigger. This causes huge distress, of course, and they try and do the right thing, get the sheriff and stuff involved, but a series of events basically leads them to a house in the middle of nowhere where there is a deranged family living, and as well as some locals in surrounding areas that have no intention of letting these teenagers leave because they are the prey, the next on the list of Leatherface, who is intent on going a bit manic on them with a chainsaw. Right, what are my thoughts on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Well, it's always a brave man or person or woman or whatever who decides to remake a classic such as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've seen a lot of people try and fail over the years to remake like classic films, not just horror, but other films as well. But it really was a roll of the dice, I think, to try and recapture what the original created. And what we got here was a surprising result. We get actually a very, very good and watchable film that is very respectful, in my opinion, to the original. Feels modern and fresh, but it also feels like it come directly out of a time capsule as well. They capture the mood very, very well. It feels dirty, gritty, grimy. It makes your skin itch. The film. It's a very, very uncomfortable watch. You're never ever able really to relax in this film. Really, right from the word go. I mean, as soon as you meet these teenagers, you know what I mean. It's awkwardness, you know, because there's two of them making out in the back. You know what I mean, almost like. The two have almost become one. They're making out so much, you know what I mean. They're all high on drugs, and he's speeding down the road, and it just never feels comfortable. I mean, you're not meant to feel comfortable because they're actually bringing drugs across the border from Mexico. So nobody actually feels comfortable in the van, generally speaking. You don't feel comfortable as an audience member, and then boom, we get this terrified hitchhiker, and things just keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, all the way up there until you are inevitably introduced to Leatherface that you know is coming. And it's actually terrifying stuff, to be fair. Now, in comparison to some horror films that you will see today, obviously things like the Terrifier movies and others, very, very graphic stuff. In comparison to some of those films, you could actually argue that this is fairly tame in regards to what it actually shows to some degree. But where those other horrors, the violence is so graphic, it's almost cartoonish at times. The violence feels so raw and intense, and the fact that Leatherface, generally speaking, just treats these people like slabs of meat, hanging in from meat hooks, and you can just see the despair and terror on their faces. Limbs are being lost and just being hung around like slabs of meat, and the sheer terror on their faces. And I think the actors do a really brilliant job of conveying that terror, as do the other actors conveying the sheer weirdness of these locals. I mean, obviously you've got Leatherface that's an absolutely batshit crazy, running around with people's skin on his faces. You get to see his face in this as well. But you've got Ali Ermey, who is fantastic here as the sheriff. I mean, he's absolutely deplorable in his actions. And you know immediately that he's a bad egg, you know what I mean? Because the gun that she uses to kill herself in the car, when he actually gets there and retrieves the gun, he puts it back in his ankle holster. And they don't twig. Oh, hang on a minute, that's his gun. And if they do, they don't say anything. I mean, if that were me, I'd be down the road. You wouldn't see. I'd be like Wile E. Coyote. I'd be like, my legs would be. You wouldn't see me for dust. So it's intense stuff, this film, and it's a hard watch at times. And the sound of that chainsaw, once he starts charging about with this chainsaw, it doesn't stop. That sound of the chainsaw, it's kind of embedded in your brain, and you can't get away from the sound, and he's just charging them down, just intent on brutalizing them. It really is. It's breathless stuff. It doesn't really give you a chance to relax and breathe. And I think that's something that it captures really well from the original. Like I say, I'll be honest, when I first saw this film, I'd not seen the original. It was this film that inspired me to watch the original. And, it's not often that happens. But I'm glad it did, sort of thing. Now, I've actually considered reviewing the Texas Chainsaw franchise, but when you look at the films, the timeline, I mean, it's just literally all over the place. I mean, I think it's even worse than Halloween in regards to that. So I might, if research the order in which to watch them, and maybe I shall review the franchise like I did Friday the 13th last year. I might do the Texas Chainsaw movies. We'll see. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in checking out. But yeah, as remakes go, this is definitely one of the stronger ones for sure. And it did very, very well when it came out, both critically and commercially. And rightfully so, because it was well made. I mean, even the director, Marcus Nispel, I think I'm sure he went on to direct Friday the 13th, the remake of that in 2009. And that again, I think is a pretty good, successful remake of an original. So he's got an eye for it, as Marcus Nispel. I mean, he's made some errors over the years. He did that god awful Conan reboot as well. So it's not all roses and sunshine for this director, I suppose. But yeah, I really did enjoy revisiting this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this film. Let me know any other remakes from the noughties that you'd like me to revisit. And I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.